Welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel, everyone. This is Rich, making another video on XRP today, as usual. So, wherever you are in this vast planet, I hope you're all having a nice day today. We are going to discuss XRP. I was able to begin with this from 589. I wanted to remind you of this, Donald Trump, just in case you forgot. Before the XRP moons, let's finish it. Crypto is tax-free. That is not likely to occur very soon, in my opinion. It would have been fantastic, if the president had given this a deadline. In other words, we will eliminate the tax on cryptocurrencies manufactured in the United States by this date. However, he did not provide a time frame. Therefore, this might occur in the future. Eliminating taxes on cryptocurrency produced in the US would be a terrific first step towards making the US the global center of cryptocurrency. However, I do not believe that this will occur, at least not in 2025. Tokenizer is the source of this. I would say that 90% of individuals are exposed to cryptocurrency through meme currencies, ETH, or Bitcoin. The idea of money against the system is used to introduce them. It's always the reason utility is viewed with such skepticism. Imagine then, if they were presented through actual use cases such as HBR, Q&T, XRP, XDC, XLM, and so forth. I honestly believe that today's industry would be very different. When retail thinks of cryptocurrency, they typically think of meme coins, NFT hype, and cryptocurrency volatility. People are drawn to cryptocurrency because of its volatility. They enter this area and are fortunate. After investing in a joke coin that was only worth a few cents, they cash out when it suddenly surges to over $10. That isn't how things usually work out. The majority of meme coin users wind up losing money since they are rug pulls. Imagine, however, if they were presented as interoperable technology, instantaneous and globally liquid payment options, decentralized infrastructure for trust, and digitalized technology for international trade. These cases provide a rationale for DLT's existence. Most of the time, when you explain the real-world applications of cryptocurrencies to someone who has never invested in them before and who has never heard of XRP, XLM, or XDC, they are completely unaware of them. They don't even know what you're discussing. However, you might tell them that you will make a ton of money over the following few months if you invest now. They know that, and for that reason, the majority of people that enter this market, even if they are purchasing XRP, have no idea what they are getting into. They simply know that they will sell far too soon, and that it will rise at some point in the very near future. Because XRP will continue to rise in value, the majority of investors who sell their holdings during this run will later come to regret it. I would also say the same thing regarding ADA, IOTA, XDC, XLM, Q&T, HBR, and so on. The next financial crisis is also expected to occur soon, according to the European Central Bank. I will only play a portion of this video. Listen to it. Conference somewhat fascinating. As you correctly pointed out, Luke, it was quite controversial, and I questioned if I should actually start the conference. My spouse actually advised me not to take another position after this one, because I run the risk of causing yet another problem, because my career in public service has been filled with crises, one after the other. Therefore, even though I am in a position where I can easily deal with hardship, we nevertheless ask ourselves, please note, the next financial crisis, at the end. The question mark has also been added. Thus they are already aware, there will soon be another financial crisis. The answer to that financial dilemma lies with you. Additionally, keep in mind that Christine Lagarde is positioned alongside Ripple. Since 2015 or 2016, she has been seated at tables with Brad Garlinghouse. Listen to what Chris Larsen has to say though. We may not have the infrastructure to stop the next financial disaster 10 years after the last one. And I believe that here is where digital assets may be quite helpful because they can effectively address some of the main issues with global liquidity. To get past the clumsiness of the global value transfer, you have trillions and trillions of dollars locked up in liquidity. With an extremely effective digital asset, such as XRP, which we think will be the most effective, you can now free up trillions of dollars in capital that were previously tied up. Therefore, as a bank, payment provider, or business, you can make those transfers quickly without needing to have money pre-positioned globally. If we were aware, Take note, he brought up the crisis while discussing liquidity before jumping straight to on-demand liquidity. Because they are aware that the liquidity problem the banks are currently experiencing will probably be the next crisis. One bank after another will fail, but you can stop it with a digital asset like XRP, which lets you access all that tremendous fast draw money. They may return to the banks with all that money. For the first time, cryptocurrency platforms are included in EU sanctions against Russia. The 19th round of sanctions on Russia has been established by the EU. Additionally, this is the first time that cryptocurrency platforms will be subject to these sanctions, which will forbid transactions in cryptocurrency. The BRICS are searching for an entirely new payment system that would replace the SWIFT system, and they are doing so because of those sanctions, and has the rail installed in every one of the countries. However, they come right to the point. What does Russia do after sanctions and sanctions? They move quickly. For this reason, they stare. Furthermore, Russia claimed to be searching for a SWIFT substitute even at that time. Additionally, I frequently discuss Coinbase's dubious practices. You probably wouldn't have gotten your Bitcoin back if you weren't Kevin Durant. Listen to this out. According to what I understand, you introduced him to Bitcoin at a very young age. Is that accurate? Are you the one who is at fault about Bitcoin? But I nudged him a bit. No, he did. And around 2015, he called me in. We spoke with our then manager of the company, who abruptly ended the call and told us to cease. Wait a moment. Turn around. How did you find out about Bitcoin then? Actually, I'm just browsing YouTube. I can't tell you lies. After that, I kept watching recordings of seminars with people just like them discussing cryptocurrencies. How does the world's future look? Additionally, I've always been interested in the future, emerging technologies, and how the world might evolve. And I believe that to be something could endure and be constant. Even now, 10 years later, we continue to discuss it. He lost some money because we had purchased it in 2015. However, Ben Horowitz threw Kevin a birthday dinner a year later, just before he signed with the Warriors, and the entire squad attended. I said to Kevin at the end of the night, I heard the word Bitcoin in 25 years. Following day, we began making Bitcoin investment. Thankfully, we haven't been able to locate his Coinbase account yet. Thus, we have never sold anything, and his Bitcoin is really high. Following that tape, Brian Armstrong stated, "We got this fixed, account recovery complete. His Bitcoin was trapped on Coinbase." Additionally, Phil Kwok of Easy stated, "This is a terrible joke. However, it is true that Celebrity was unable to access his Coinbase account for about 10 years, until finally regaining it. Imagine if this were a regular individual, and he never got his account back. And I agree that you wouldn't be receiving your Bitcoin back if it weren't for Kevin Durant. Would talk to Coinbase's support staff, and go through the entire process, without being able to achieve anything. However, it's good that he was able to regain his Bitcoin. However, I don't see this unfolding in the same manner. For a typical person, utility is ridiculed by any fought until institutions begin to rotate. XRP, XLM, XDC, HBRU10T, ELJU, and IOTA on the shortlist for worldwide adoption, according to us. ISO 222. Ask yourself why you're in the cryptocurrency business if you don't have at least one. Each and every cryptocurrency investor ought to own a small portion of these coins. As we already know, XRP is designed to move valuable XLM into XLM and XRP are extremely similar. It's more akin to remittances, person to person.